In this video, The Whole Truth takes us on a theological obstacle course through Leviticus 12, trying to defend an ancient purity law that clearly treats childbirth, and female infants in particular, as something ritually contaminating. He opens by comparing the text to a tricky word problem from high school, implying that if we just think hard enough and read carefully, we'll uncover a divine brilliance instead of obvious patriarchy. This framing sets the tone. If you're offended, it's your fault for misreading, not the fault of the text or its interpretation. As he reads Leviticus 12 aloud, where women are declared unclean after giving birth for 40 days if it's a boy and 80 days if it's a girl, he tries to downplay the discomfort. He insists this isn't about punishment or sin, but a gracious gift of rest. According to him, God isn't sidelining women from community and worship because they're contaminated. He's giving them a postnatal break, spa day style. But the text doesn't say anything about rest. It says unclean. And in the context of Leviticus, unclean means exclusion from sacred life and communal religious spaces. That's not a vacation. That's quarantine with spiritual shame layered on top. He goes on to argue that there's a big difference between being unclean and being sinful, as if ritual impurity somehow isn't degrading. But he conveniently glosses over the fact that the mother is still required to offer a sin offering after this time. Yes, it's literally called that, even though he claims there's no sin involved. His explanation? Well, 40 or 80 days passed, so she might have sinned by then. That's a classic sleight of hand, redefining a term, then rationalizing the ritual with a retroactive justification. Then there's the gender disparity. He admits women are unclean twice as long for girls than boys, but tries to spin this as a practical need. Because male babies get circumcised on the 8th day, women must be clean enough by then to hand over the child. This bizarre logic still doesn't explain why giving birth to a girl doubles the impurity time. It only reveals how far he'll stretch to justify every verse as righteous, rather than admit that this might reflect ancient patriarchal views rather than divine perfection. The deeper issue with the Whole Truth's approach is not just what he says, it's the tactic he uses, absolving the text of all criticism by redefining terms, appealing to Jesus, and implying that discomfort means misunderstanding. Rather than grapple with the human origins and historical limitations of Levitical law, he presents it as flawless divine design, just misunderstood by modern, sensitive ears. In doing so, he avoids the hard but honest work of wrestling with the Bible's imperfections and the moral evolution of our understanding. In short, the Whole Truth isn't presenting the whole truth. He's doing theological damage control, using soft language, mental gymnastics, and spiritual platitudes to keep people from asking hard questions. But if truth is what you're after, you should be willing to admit when the text doesn't age well, and when trying to defend it does more harm than good.